Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Marks and TCG discussions coming out with my first place locals Rob Lucci deck profile. A lot of people are asking me for an update to this list, so here it is. This is the updated list. I had to make some changes and adjustments for the first one. I think the theory was like okay, but there were just some like gaping weaknesses. Like Stussy, for example, against Zoro just doesn't do enough. Against BY, it's like less than good. 9-cost Kaido is like pretty strong, and so I had to concede that. I wasn't happy with the 2K count, so we adjusted some ratios there as well. And we cut cards like Isho, which were just not very effective, even though it's like super good. In certain situations, like again, there's just times where like you draw Isho, and it's like, this just could not be worse, right? Like, if I didn't have Jack established, which Jack is easily the best card in the game, which we'll talk about. It's like, if they have Jack already, and I don't have a big play, and I top deck Isho, and they don't have 6 cards in hand, oh, dude, it's like, so bad. And so, we just cut a lot of cards, and then moved to a more turn-for-turn value version of the deck, and it's actually pretty close to what I think is like topping the rank ladder as of today for winning deck lists. But you'll see there's kind of a catch-all. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get into it. Leader, we already know what he does. If you don't know what Lucci does by now, I don't know like what meta you've been paying attention to. But Force Phantom, still best turn 1 play. We want this on our opening turn to start filling up our trash. 100%, in this meta, I know a lot of people are like, oh, just Tempest Kick. I don't really think you can do that anymore because, like, Jack exists. Like, you basically need all the reduction you can, so he's just our solid best turn 1 bet. And then some things that I think people are going to be happy about. 2 Brook, 3 cost. We decided that we're going to play him because of Zoro, right? We need answers to Zoro in the early game. This gets rid of Nami passively, and we can pass. And if they have the Dawn up, and if not, well, like, we can swing and play Brook and still get rid of a card, and then threaten to get rid of the other 1-drop on the following turn, which is, like, really good. He also kind of acts as, like, a pseudo-stage. Like, if you just set him down, like, for example, let's say on 3, like, you go to play this. Now you have 2 reduction for, like, across the board between your leader and the Brook. Or Brook could just, like, flat out kill something. And then you can play, like, Rob Lucci there, right? And it's just a lot better. So you can still get, like, a 5 swing into something, pop something, and then, like, another 5K swinging into something. And so he just helps mitigate that a lot. And he's also not a bad target to bring off Gecko if you're looking for that single target KO or that extra reduction. Next, for Khalifa, Khalifa, that's what we play her. Still one of the best 2Ks. Draw 2 trash, 2 cycle, and then -2 is still like really strong. And the fact that she's a 2K is awesome. And waifu tax is pretty good. But yeah, we really enjoy playing her as a 2K. The minus like really helps. And then next, for what I think is obligatory for, I've seen someone play 3. I don't understand it. Who's who? Number 1, this card is our replacement to Kaku, and unlike having the bottom deck cards, he fills up our trash. So yes, it's a minus in hand, but we play a lot of bricks. So sometimes we're just like okay with like pitching a card if we know that like we can mitigate it by getting rid of a card. Like Lucci Swing, being able to play this on 5 is really good because we can get rid of 4 costs. It helps us in Dofi, it helps us against Conquer, it helps us against Chopper. It's just a really strong card. Also, the trigger effect against like Chopper is part of the reason why you need to play it. Between this, Ice Age, and Tempest Kick, as you'll see, we have 12 cards that are basically nukes for the entire Zoro deck on top of what we're already doing to them. So, like, this is just, like, really good. And he's a 2K. So, again, I do not get it. It's like a Kaku 2K that has a trigger effect of Kaku that doesn't require me to get rid of my trash. So it's really good. 3 Sabo. We decided to go down the line of Sabo here at 3, because the reality is this card can be brought back with Rebecca, but Rebecca is still better than he is. So this is the slot that we've made concessions for other cards. One of them is coming up here very shortly, but he's still like one of the most backbreaking cards. My round 2 and my round 3, which I'll talk about my matchups at the end, but like my round 2 and 3, my round 3 specifically, like Sabo, like I had some kind of like questionable lines on where I could go. Sabo flat out won the game. Like, he just made it impossible. There was no chance I was going to lose the game, even though he had like Gecko leader and I had 1 life. Like, I had Rebecca, and then I played Sabo on top of protecting a board of like double Lucci and then Gecko. So yeah. Oh, my mat is shifting a little bit. Next, 2 6-cost Brook. So I hated this card for like the longest time. I was probably one of the biggest haters of this, for a number of reasons. Like, he's a brick, and he just doesn't like sometimes like do enough, right? Like, it just feels like he doesn't. But in this meta, he's really strong, for a number of reasons. ST14 specifically, you can trash the cards, so it doesn't matter that they played Sabo. And they're Rebecca blockers, right? Like, if you swing and they don't give you the Rebecca block with like your leader, you can just trash Rebecca now. That's actually how I ran my round 2 matchup. Both of these came in insanely clutch. We'll talk about it at the end. But the ability to also play this at 6 Dawn on curve is like undeniably very good. Unlike Sakazuki, where we have to pitch a card, this card we do not. And he just trashing Borsellino's off the board just feels so good, because Borsellino's seeing a slight uptick in play, so we just want to have like more counter to it. And the name of the game, I think, of Lucci right now is play like a breath. It feels like, I feel like this is like the most success I've had, playing a breadth of cards that you can play every turn, and then like sequence your way through that, and then just counter out early, and then like just continuously bond them with like your best cards at the end. So 6-cost Brook is very, very strong. Like the card a lot, actually, right now. I think that 2 of them is just great. Next, for the second best card in black, Rebecca, I'm making an entire, it's kind of funny, like, Pain Flanco, that's like one of my favorite YouTuber to watch right now. I made a video about Gecko Moria, and how, like, he's not going to get banned, and, like, then they came out with Rebecca, which is, like, a 7-cost Rebecca for blue, which is basically, like, Gecko 2.0, and then you can Gecko on the next turn with Rebecca, which is completely stupid. But, like, this Rebecca, right, insane, still, like, arguably the best card in black. Like, and the video that I'm going to upload, it's like an hour and 20 minutes long, but it just basically goes over like the best cards in black versus like the best cards in every other color, and like the top 3 cards in black, like Rebecca, Jack, and Gecko, and like who's actually just like great. And I think that she is just literally arguably like the best card in black. What she can grab is insane. She can grab Jack out of the trash, which is just disgusting at 4 Dawn. Like, you mill with Lucci and you're like, I don't have Jack yet, just let me just grab that real quick, right? Like, you play a Spandam turn 2, like with your 2 Dawn turn, and then like Jack ends up in the trash, and you're like, huh, it'd be a shame if I could just fetch that out of my trash, which she can. Grabs 2 Ks, initiates the whole combo. She is just stupid insane in this deck, so for that reason we play her at 4. Next, 3 Rob Lucci. It's time to cut this guy down. We have Jack, and Jack is just better, so we need him for like either combos or like early plays. So 3 is like the slot that like you want to see it, just not in abundance, right? Like 4 is like, I want to see this card no matter what. 3 is like, I want to see this card some of the time. But with Lucci, the leader, between the mill and the draws, it's like you see him far more, right, than you normally would in anything else. Like, that's just basically the way it works with mill, because you're milling cards off the top of your deck, increasing the chances that you're going to see the card, because we're about recursion, right? We just bring cards back, and then it does a whole bunch of stuff. And so for that reason, playing with 3, still incredibly broken card. Easily one of my favorites. Next, to up our 2K count, a lot of people are going to be happy about this. We play 2 Suru. I know I can just feel the guys in the comment section down below. They're like, oh, you took Suru out? Oh, 3-cost Brook? It's almost like we told you so. And in a lot of ways, I think you guys kind of did. So Suru actually has like a lot of flex options that, like, on my initial build, I just kind of like going back to like my initial concrete, like hyper brick, but like super like hyper impactful cards. Sabo, Stussy, Gecko, Isho, right? That's where I was like leaning with it. And in that version, Suru just doesn't really fit the bill, because like you have so many cards that just like wipe them off the face of the earth. You don't really need her reduction. You just need like Helmeppo for like the combo when you have Gecko, and then you're chilling, right? And then you obviously you have Ice Age, you have your Tempest Kicks. So like all those other reductions, if it's not Stussy, like they're just gonna get that impact. But since we cut Stussy and like other cards, as you'll see when we play our top end, Suru found her way back into the list on 2 different accounts. One, I didn't want to play 8 2Ks. I wanted to play 10 or 10 plus. Like, this increases the consistency of me living. This also is a 1-drop card that can be brought off the Gecko play. So if I don't have Helmeppo, she acts like as like a pseudo kind of like, not like a worse version, because she's like really good because the breadth of targets that she can hit in combination with leader is basically Helmeppo. And then the other thing that is like super good about her is like the early game with Brook against Zoro and Calgara. Those are the 2 matchups, as crazy as this is to say, like, because everybody on the sim and everybody in the comment sections keeps telling me that like Lucci is the best against Zoro. And I agree to an extent, and that is why we end up putting Brook back in the deck, right? But Suru and Brook really seals the deal, right? Because when I played ST14, right, let's say I go second, I play Brenu, I play Kuzan, they can't do anything about either of them. And now when they swing with their 3Ks, and they swing with their whatever, Kuzan can swing a card, and then I can play Brook down, and then like I'm definitely getting rid of cards on the board. Especially if I like swing into a card, they activate Shut Up and Come With Us, and then play down the Chopper. I can then swing with Kuzan, and then play Brook and just get rid of the Chopper, right? So like there's just like a lot of things you can do. But Suru makes it so that like I can swing with lead into something, and then like now play Suru and then Brook, and then get rid of the card that comes into play, and it just does a lot, right? It does a lot. So this helps mitigate that. It's also hyper good against Calgara, because you can do the same thing against their own. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, like without Brook to like help like both of them, really, like without both Brooks, your early game against Calgara is just basically like shot. It's so bad. It's hyper dependent on this card. You just don't have like other alternatives to really handle or do anything that with their board. And then if they play Holy, and then on their 6 on turn it's Mont Blanc Calgara, yeah, like good luck, dude. It's really bad. But now we have like more answers in the early game with more easy reduction that doesn't involve me playing Ice Age like hyper right away. And remember, Tempest Kick doesn't get online right away unless like we see like Super Bunker opener nuts. 2 Span 9. Yeah, it's self-explanatory. We just gotta play 2 of it because we're a combo deck that wants to do Span 9 things. 2 Helmeppo to facilitate the combo. Gotta play it. It just makes sense. So a lot of lists, especially I think like the topping list on the sim, played like a 3-3 split of this. I don't understand that, because these are not cards I want in my hand that often, right? I want these cards either milled, or like if I draw them, it's great because like I can either flex counter, or like with this card, like I can flex counter the card, or I can like use it for like an on play -3 while like putting a body on the board. And the same thing with like Spandine, right? It's kind of like this in the same vein. However, 3 of these cards just means like I could get like 3 Brooks in this, and I'm like, what? Like, like Brook, and then like this, and then like Spandine, and my hand is just full of low-cost cards that just basically don't do a whole lot. It's not very good. So we're trying to avoid that, and so for that reason, we play that. 4 of what I think is, this is the best card in Black. I'm going to talk for a minute about this card. First off, if there is a card that is ban-worthy in Black, it's this card. This is the first card they need to look at if they're going to address Black at all to ban. This card is completely stupid, okay? Like, there's only one color in the game this card is, like, semi-worried about, and that is, like, red. If you're not red, and you're not, like, Marco, we just don't care. This card is the stickiest card in the game. It basically demands that your opponent get rid of it. If it sticks on the board, you're cooked. If there's 2 of them on the board, you're cooked. If there's this plus Gecko Ice Age nonsense, you're cooked. This card is dumb, and it should not exist. I don't know why they made it. It is completely and utterly broken, and it is the best card in Black. This card is so much better than Gecko that you can play ST14 Luffy and literally not see Gecko, but be completely winning because of this card. This card is so broken that I played against ST14 in round 2, didn't see a single Gecko, saw 1 Jack, and still won the game. This card is cracked. It's an 8K swing. It helps our mid to late transition so well at 7, 8 Dawn. Crazy. Especially on 8 when we get to swing, play Ice Age and that. That is literally a 9-cost card dead. Anything they've played in the turn, in like the entire game, unless they've saboed, is dead. This card is nuts. And then in the Black Mirror, which Black is probably best right now, if you don't realize, we're probably in a triangle meta of Lucci, ST14, and BY Luffy. Everything else is just nonsense. And if you're going to try and argue with me that, like, Bonnie is somehow in there when Black is literally at its apex of power, I'm just going to look at you and say, sorry, Chad, you're not going to be Giga in this tournament. You're going to lose. And this card is the main reason, okay? This is the sole reason why we don't even need to play Shigan anymore. This card is so broken, Basil Hawkins just is a non-factor. Not complete non-factor in the matchups. Like, does not matter. You can literally get rid of Hawkins at any time. They are almost forced to play 10-cost Stofi to keep this card tapped. Otherwise, every card they play, their Arouge, it's dead. Their Rosinante blocker is dead. Their 8-cost Kid is subject to immediate removal because of, like, the stupid, like blocker shenanigans that you can do. You can, like, Ice Age 1 card, play, like, Ice Age Ice Age Kid, and then play Gecko, do Lucci combo while drawing a card off of like Spandam, and then filling up your trash even more, then play the Lucci out with Spandine Lucci, and then KO the Rosinante, and then rest Jack to get rid of Kid. Like, it's so stupid, bro. Like, this card is just way too good. And, like, literally, you can just play it, not rest, and get rid of anything unless you're playing, like, and this is the other thing. You play 2 of these against Zoro, and you are somewhat healthy life, they've lost. I don't care if they just get consecutive dragons. Like, it doesn't really matter, man. Like, I'll counter out of, like, your low leader swing of 7, and then, like, I'll just, like, get rid of dragon next turn while playing, like, Rebecca Sabo and swing whatever I want, or, like, play Gecko, get Rebecca. It's just crazy. What this card does is just completely not okay. I mean, like, there's 3 effects on this card, and surely one of them this card could have done without, right? Like, the sticky effect of being +4, I get that. Cool. The rest itself, the KO or 3 or less, really good. Like, that would have been a really good effect. But the fact that it's got the Sakazuki cycle effect, basically making our leader mill 2, Sakazuki swing, and draw filter is ridiculous. This card breaks the game. It is a game warping card. It is a black hole as soon as it sits on the board. The level of, like, non-aggression at my life has never been more rampant. I've never seen more people be like, I must Dawn Dump swing into Jack, otherwise my game plan is shot, right? Like, this card is crazy, bro. So, the Psychos that are playing 3 of this card, yeah, no. Like, absolutely not. This card is better than Gecko. Like, this card is so broken. You can literally, like, yeah, well, we'll talk about my matchups at the end. Like, that card is completely bonkers insane. On to the third best card in black, Gecko Moria. Yeah, the only way that this card is, like, the best black card in the game is in, like, ST13 Luffy. Otherwise, this card is just completely not the best card in the game for black. But, like, dude, this card is so crazy. Like, these two together is just, oh, it's filthy. Like, it's so filthy. Getting rid of 3 cards in a turn is just not okay. Like, my opponent, like, dude, the devastation I have unleashed upon this world with this list is filthy. It's truly filthy. And we're not even done. We're going to talk about another card, but, like, obviously Gecko is Gecko. We know about him at this point. There's not a lot to talk about. I mean, the lines with him are extended because we have Brook now. So, like, there's more, like, good lines of gameplay. And that's the other thing. Like, we cut Lucci to 3, but now because we have Brook, right? If we have, like, Gecko into Brook as, like, the final KO piece, so, like, Rebecca into Helmeppo, and then Brook with, like, Ice Age on something else, and then Leader Swing, like, that's still really strong, right? But if we have Jack on the board and we do that, we still can get rid of 2 cards a turn, just like we were before, and it's not just dependent on, like, Gecko. That's the other thing that I can't express enough about Jack. Like, if you were the person going first, it felt bad because you couldn't get to Gecko. But if your opponent did Gecko, the advantage is now you have, like, Ice Age to do your play, like, if you have a Gecko to counter the Gecko. Well, now it's just, like, everyone on curve is, like, playing Jack, and it's just, like, some hot nonsense of, like, can I even get rid of that? Which I've got a disgusting play to talk about that I did. But onto the other card that I know a lot of people are going to be happy about. I took your guys' advice, and I decided to play him. And I gotta say, this card is the sole reason why BY Luffy is no longer a bad matchup for Lucci. This card is crazy, bro. This is, I'm so happy that I'm actually enjoying playing the high-cost cards that came out of this new set. Because, like, I was afraid that, like, we would still, that, like, Lucci would adjust to, like, all the old cards. Not that I want my girl Stussy to have her time. I just don't think that right now that's it, right? I think that as long as BY is around, like, this card is just going to be objectively better because you can trash their Sabos or their 5-cost Luffys and just still get value. This card is a complete game changer for Lucci in a number of ways. By your leader swing alone, you can get rid of anything in the game, right? Not anything, anything 8 or less in the game. With a Tempest kick in the mirror, you can get rid of Jack with that in your leader swing. With your, against Luffy, you can literally, without swing, just play Ice Age, play this card down, and trash the Jack and make them discard a card. So the breadth that this card hits is truly enormous. His effect is also backbreaking. Here's why. You're playing black, and so most of the time against BY, they don't know if we're playing Isho. So they may play, like, at low hand size, which is fine because we're not. So that's, like, one, like, kind of, like, psychoanalysis. Like, they have to play under Isho, right? Especially if you're playing ST14. They're starting to play Kaido more now. You definitely need to be thinking about whether or not they're playing Isho. Because they can search with brand new, right? But that's, like, one factor. Even if they're not playing around it, it doesn't matter because we're not attacking them, right? We're not giving them cards. We are making them self-awaken. And then we're slowly responding to those, like, cards on curve properly with, like, 6-cost Brook. Like, if I have to give them 1 swing and mill 2 so I can, like, play Brook, it's fine. If I have to, like, counter out of a swing and then play Rebecca and then play, like, Spandams and, like, kind of rely on that to get my trash set up, that's fine. But the problem is that, like, Gecko is, like, extremely weak in the matchup, right? It used to be, like, you have to Gecko, and you have to Gecko, and you, like, maybe have a 3rd Gecko, maybe, or something, and then, like, you play, like Rebecca, and then, like, Sabo, and then, like, Rebecca, Sabo, and, like, Weather the Storm. Now on curve, we can just decimate their cards as we go. And this card is, like, one of the key pivotal pieces. Why? We trash the card, so it doesn't matter if they played Sabo. on top of trashing the card, they have to discard a card from hand. And when we discard, we're setting up our trash. So it's like kind of like a dual purpose. And the third thing that is just completely crazy is that this is a 9K. Because this means if they take second from us, we can play Jack and then this. And then play a 9/9. That has immediate impact. It gets rid of their self-awakened pieces and forces them into like some weird lines where they have to like play like Hiyori into something else, or just like dump every Flampe out of their hand and just draw more cards. Even if that's the case, this card gets immense value because at 9K, he can just swing at the leader. 2 Dawn, he can swing 11 and demand 2 cards on top of already taking a card from them. And then forcing them to have to reset up. Doesn't matter. The thing that's super busted, and this is why I say that, like, this card plus Jack is, like, actually really game-breaking in the BY matchup, is because now at 7 Dawn, we can play Jack and have one card that just takes 1 Dawn in order to get at their 9K. And then we can play Kaido to just trash another card, because at that point, like, when you start getting to 7, that means they're at 6. Their 6 Dawn turn is probably Sabo. The odds that it's not Sabo, very low. Very, very low, right? And then if they do, we can respond with Jack. Just play Jack, right? They swing with Sabo. Now they give us a target to swing at, right? And then they may play Luffy. If they play Luffy, we have Jack to get rid of the Sabo. We have this to get rid of whatever else. So, like, I guess we'd have to be at 10 to do that. But the point is that, like, we can go from 7 to 9 and play this. And then now we're, like, getting rid of the Luffy. That's going to help them self-awaken their life. Then we're going to, like, make them trash a card in hand. And now we have Jack on top of that to swing into the Sabo. So it's, like, hyper crazy because now if they want to defend the Sabo, it's going to, like, require 2 cards out of their hand just to defend. Then when they start getting their self-awakened stuff online, we already have Jack and Kaido on the board. So now we have 2 cards that can do stuff. And then, when we play this card, we just get a blocker and another 9K. And then we can start swinging out. We can go 9, 9, and then swing for free at a card just to get some reduction. And then we're chilling. Right, we're completely chilling. It doesn't matter that they double Sabo anymore, because guess what? They're going to have Gecko every single turn. And then the other thing that is completely disgusting about this card is its ability to respond to their Gecko play. If they Gecko, and this is in your hand, right? Like, let's say that, like, you played Gecko, you played Jack, and then maybe you just wanted to play Gecko to, like, get the value of the cards on the board and save this back. When they go to self-awaken, and the next turn that they play Gecko, while you have, like, this and Jack on the board already, you can just swing with leader and trash their Gecko. And make them pitch a card. It's so disgusting. And you can still attach a Dawn to Jack, and then swing with the Gecko for 9/9. It is so broken that I have considered putting this card to 3. I just don't know what I would cut, but it is so good in the late game, guys. This helps our matchup so much when we see this card. I love it to pieces. Do you see it every game? No, but the games you see it. You see one against BY. Like, if you Jack Kaido, that game just feels comfortably in Lucci's favor. It just feels so good. So, yeah, I love this card. I think that it is really, really good. And then to wrap up our reduction spells, you guys know what it is. 4 Tempest, 4 Ice Age. You got to play 4 of them. Okay, these, again, these maniacs out here playing like 3 Ice Age. I don't know what Zoro decks you play against, but like, you just must want to die to getting feasted on. I've even seen like lists that are playing like 2 Kaku, 2K over the Who's Who, and I'm like, okay, so you just auto die, literally auto die to Zoro. Like, you just, these cards are mini nukes in the matchup. They're just like, oh, pick off that 3 cost you just played. Pick off that 3 cost you just played. And Ice Age, dude, I hope if I play against Zoro, I hope all 4 of these are my life, dude. I hope, like, my first 4 life are all Zoros, and my last one is, like, a 2K so that I can, like, live. So, it's just, it's so good. It's so good. And these cards just are insane. This card, especially with Jack, is just completely heinous. Like, a 9-cost card just dying between this and our leader swing with Jack is completely gross. So, Definitely, Lucci did not lose any power whatsoever in this meta. He, in my opinion, is best deck in the game. So let me first address like that comment real quick, because I know people are gonna be like, oh, well, last week you were just talking about ST14 being best deck in the game. Yeah, and I think that there is a merit to that, right? ST14 movie feels like the deck that if you, like, again, if they stick Jack, and I'm just going to say this right now, his BY matchup is even worse for BY than Lucci is. Lucci fails to his own consistency. BY basically draws all his cards, minus, like, the brand new mill, right? His geckos are definitely worse. But you can't sleep on him being a 6K, because it doesn't take 3 cards for him to get out of a 9K swing. It takes 2. That's the first thing you have to realize. The second thing is he can search Show. The third thing is he plays Kaido. The fourth thing is that he plays Gecko, and they're starting to change to Borsalino. And BY can literally do nothing about Borsalino. Like, literally, you just sit there and they fold, literally, to you, because you have this card that just sits there on the board and just never leaves. And so, like, that it feels so good, right? Like, for the first time, it's like Black just doesn't auto-lose to the deck that was clearly designed to make it so that it was impossible to win. And then, like, to top it off, ST14 against Lucci, when you play Stage, feels incredible, right? It just like, if Stage is on the board, your Sanji comes down on curve on 5 and just KOs a card. Your Kuzan being a 5 cost at 4, right? For 4 Dawn, attach Dawn Leader, right? Jack on curve feels incredible, right? It just doesn't matter whether you go first or second. And if Jack lives, right? Like, if Lucci cannot out Jack, they're cooked. It doesn't matter. That's one thing also about, like, Kaido for, like, Lucci that's, like, hyper important, is Ice Age plus Kaido gets rid of Jack. Doesn't even matter if they have a Dawn attached, because it goes from 12 down to 7, and then he trashes a 7 or less, which is really important. The name of the game of Lucci is literally kill their big cost cards. If you can, you win. If you can't, you lose. And that's how you beat ST14. If ST14, though, gets to keep 1, I mean, through 1, maybe 2 cycles of turns, you ought to lose. It doesn't matter. You're done. You are cooked. Just send it on down the river. Just push it on down the river. So let's talk about matchups real quick. Boy, my last 2 rounds were so broken that I don't even remember. I don't remember what I played in round 1. Oh, I played Reiju. Yeah, round 1 played Reiju. Unfortunately, all of his Reiju, his 7-drop EGs, were at the bottom of the deck. Was it a 4-round tournament? It might have been a 4-rounder. We had a lot of people there. It was, like, kind of crazy. I think it might have been a 4-rounder. I can't remember what I played round 1. I think I just played Reiju. I think maybe it was a 3-rounder. I think it was 3. We'll say it was 3. Round 1 played against Reiju. He bricked and then basically died because all of his 7-cost CGs are at the bottom. So, yay, win. Round 2 is against ST14 Luffy. The 2 Brooks, the 6-cost Brooks, came in incredibly clutch. These cards just put in the absolute business. I saw them back-to-back, and he played Borsalino. I swung with lead. And then, like, trashes Borsalino, and then, like, swung 9 with, like, Sabo. Then he attacked over Sabo, and then I broke on the board, and I another broke to when he played Gecko to get rid of the Rebecca Brocker, and then swing 9 again, and pressure his life to 0, at 0 to win the game. It was super good. I had 4 life when I won that game, by the way, so it was, like, kind of crazy. And then the 3rd round was probably the most disgusting thing I've probably ever done with Lucci. And I thought the most gross thing I've ever done was when I removed 3 of my opponent's cards with, like, Jack Lucci combos. Like, this is filthy. Like, no, but what I did to my opponent was probably way worse. So, I took second, obviously. I'm going to take second from ST14. And it's, like, really good for my curve as well. So, it's, like, whatever. But, like, Actually, I think he took first, which is weird because he said he wanted to get to Jack on curve, which is fine. Because literally, like, you can't, like, Ice Age Jack their Jack, so that's, like, kind of bad. And I didn't have an option to get rid of it, so it basically had to live. Well, so I just played Jack down, swing 6, and then then on the following turn, I think he countered out, like, 2K, and then on the following turn, he Ice Age Robined, jacked my Jack, and I'm like, oh boy, like, this is a problem. So he's got, and then attaches Dawn to lead, which is like Ice Age 6, 7, 9, and then swings 8, and I take it. And I, like, get Gecko off the top of my life. And I'm like, Gecko doesn't even do anything for me here. Like, it's so bad. Like, I basically have to get rid of both. Because if I don't get rid of the Robin, and he plays like Gecko, then that Robin is about to eat me alive, right? Like, if he plays another Jack, the Robin's going to eat me alive, right? Like, it's all bad. This is a terrible scenario. But I had double Ice Age and double Tempest Kick in hand with over 10 cards in trash by that point. And I double Ice Age the Jack, brought it all the way down to 2, and I double Tempest Kicked the Robin and brought her to 1, and then played the most broken card in black, the Queen, Rebecca, and Spandine Lucci his board. And then swung like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, swung 7 at life. And my opponent, like, literally looked at me, was like, getting rid of 1 was feasible, but both was not something I thought you were going to be able to do, and literally, like, right there, you just win the game. And we talked about it after the game, and then, like, I had this, like, super... It was, like, one of those great moments where, like, you see, like, this is probably winning, but this is just an outright better win, just defensive play at the end. And then he just scooped. Like, I had, like, Gecko, Rebecca, double Lucci on board. He had 1 life. He saboed, then played Kuzan, protected his Gecko, and he chose not to swing because, well, I think he did. I think he did swing at something, and I, like, countered out. But swinging at his Gecko just wasn't possible, and I just saboed in that position after playing down, like, I think I Ice Age Lucci, the one guy, and then swung with the Lucci that was on board, swung with the Gecko, put him to 0, and then played Sabo, and just, like, hyper protect the board with 2 cards. His Sabo was gone, his Kuzan was gone, because he blocked with the Sabo, and then Kuzan died to Lucci. And he has 2 cards. I have 1 life, and then I had 3K counter in hand with a Rebecca and a Sabo under the protection of Sabo. It's literally losing. Like, there's nothing he can possibly do in that situation. So on top of the disgusting Jack Robin board wipe that I had, which is only possible because of this card. There is no line of 8 cost cards or bigger, not even with Sabo, that you can do to kill a Jack and a Robin with a Dawn attached to ST14 Luffy. This is the only card, or raw Lucci in hand, or like some obscure combination of like leader, swing, and Brook, double Brook, that would even do it. It's like super only specific like lines that you can do. And I had it, and he's like, he's him. And I was like, dude, I'm him right now. Like, he's like, and it's just one of the most disgusting things I think I've ever done to somebody in tournament. And yeah, then I won. So we got winner ace, and then an alt art ace in one of our packs. It was like super cool. So that's gonna do it for this one. It's going on 40 minutes. I didn't realize I was even dragging on that long. So thank you guys so much as always for watching. Let me know what you think about this down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Smartest and TCG discussions, signing off. Laters.